Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, a little while ago, I got this package in the mail, and I knew what it was. I knew it was coming. So, unfortunately, this isn't going to be a real proper unboxing video because I already unboxed these things and I've read them. So, no excitement of what could this possibly be. Couple books by Eric Bloat's company. Survive This. Supplements for the Dark Places and Demogorgons game that I've already reviewed, and so some neat stuff. Eric asked me, "You want to review these things?" I'm like, "Sure." So, first one is the Dark Places and Demogorgons Player Options and Game Master's Guide. This is a lot of fun. If you've got the game already, this adds a whole bunch of extra classes. And really the classes, in this game are almost like more like archetypes. They're the kids you went to school with. And they add a whole bunch of, different ones like the Equestrian Show Rider and the Equestrian Rider. I love this because there's the rich kid and the not so rich kid. And it even comes down to like how much money they have. The Monster Hunter, which it instantly reminds me of like those kids. I can't remember the kid's name, but he was in the Lost Boys. The kid that was hunting the vampires. And, I think it's one of the stars from that era that, subsequently had a terrible life. But he reminds me of that kid. Party Animal, the Performer, ROTC Cadet, Soviet Spy in Training. This is really cool because it's talking about the Cold War, because this is when I grew up, was during the Cold War. So the idea that maybe you're a kid whose family is a bunch of Soviet spies. And, Team Ninja, Telepath, kind of wild stuff in here. It also goes and adds a bunch of extra rules. It adds some magic to the game if you want to have it, if you want to have magic be actually real. A lot of what this game does, and especially what this expansion tends to do, in my mind, is sort of let you emulate the fiction and the movies of that era of the 80s. So if you want to make some of the weird stuff that happened in some of those movies true, then you can have a couple kids like that. So it's not just, the regular vibe of Dark Places and Demogorgons is kind of like Stranger Things and like Scooby-Doo almost, which I really like. I dig the idea that your kids in the 80s figuring out what kind of weird things are going on in your town. But, adding these extra classes and extra options kind of lets you emulate some of the things that the original classes didn't. So that's really kind of neat. And there's a bunch of extra rules in here. There's a magic system such as it is. It's really, really dead simple. The spells are dead simple. How it works is pretty simple. So it's not like something that's akin to, say, regular D&D. It's a little bit different, which is neat. It doesn't get very complicated, which I really dig. And then there's a bunch of 80s flavor in here. Outside of the optional rules. There are a few optional rules, tactically and what have you. But there's a bunch of 80s flavor. There's a bunch of random tables in here. And the random tables are for things like songs that were popular in that era. What song is playing? What's your theme song? What bands are playing someplace? What movies are playing? A lot of 80s stuff. And even the movies are subdivided by the category and whatnot. Stuff that you wouldn't be able to come up with on the fly necessarily, especially if you weren't there. But a lot of flavor type stuff in here. And you can use these tables as random tables, or you can just look through them and say, what should be playing here? What should the ambiance at this particular place be? What should be playing at the roller skating rink? All that kind of stuff. So really neat bunch of stuff in this book. I really, really liked it. The second one is the one of the stretch goals, the Jeffersontown Setting Guide. And this one I really, really dig. It's got a little map. Not sure if you can see that little map here on the back, and the map actually gets subdivided. I think there's about 6 smaller maps, of portions of the city where it kind of expands what's there. I really like this one quite a bit, actually. There are both of them have some typos in them, but they're minor. They're not that annoying, but they have a few typos. But this one right here gives you a sandbox to play in, which is really kind of neat. I know nothing about Kentucky, or very little about Kentucky, and this throws some flavor in there. It gives you the history of the area. Jeffersontown is this fictional town located very close to Louisville. See, I said that right, Louisville. Not Louisville, Louisville. And it gives you the history of Jeffersontown, what actually happened there, a bunch of weird, bizarre happenings, throughout the town's history. It gives you this little timeline, if you will, of what happened. And then it gives, there's a great part here. The Jeffersontown Colloquial Dictionary gives you definitions of things like fixin' highfalutin, or let's see, a poke. I had no idea a poke was a small bag, but it gives you some great stuff in here. Some of it's time period, some of it's regional dialect type stuff. It's small, but it makes me smile. from here on, it gives you, like I said, these small maps. And at that point, it kind of tells you what's in each little location. There's some things that are just kind of left blank, but it gives you the idea of where the buildings are and what have you, and you can fill in some of the blanks. But the rest of it, it gives you people of interest, and it gives you, like what gangs might be, in like some apartment building, who owns a particular convenience store, what's going on with them, what do people say is going on with them, a whole bunch of rumors for a lot of locations, and tells you which ones are true and which ones are false. But it lets you, it's kind of like an old D&D module. It's kind of like Restonford or something like that, where you just get a lot of information about the town. And not everybody is statted out. Some very important non-player characters are statted out. The rest of the people are just regular old people. If you want to stat them out, go ahead. Oh, here's my alarm, but you don't have to. This is telling me I should go someplace. I should stop having alarms go off during videos, but let you know who who's important, and if you want to stat somebody else, out, go ahead. But the main point is that the setting has a bunch of people in it, and it makes it more real. The other neat thing that it does is for each location, it gives you a bunch of possible adventure hooks. And these things range from, something really nefarious is happening, and somehow your group of teenagers has heard about it, to something that's just really normal. Where it's almost like a hook that you might find in a sitcom, but you're free to lead it someplace else. It could be just you need to get tickets because Rat's playing down the street, and your parents have told you you can't go see that band. Maybe there's a satanic panic. Maybe they're burning the Rat records, but you managed to find one of the last ones at the record store. But then that gives you an in to something else. So really kind of neat. In the actual book itself, or the setting itself rather, there are it's jam-packed with a whole bunch of monsters and weird stuff and what have you. And the way that I look at something like this and how I would approach it is figuring out, okay, well, which one of these things are actually real? How wacky and crazy do I want to make Jeffersontown be? It could be really wild and wacky and a lot of fun too. But you have your choice as the game master to figure out, okay, how much of this setting am I going to use? So it's really, really cool, because if you just want to play some Dark Places and Demogorgons and don't want to sit there and stat out your own town, this gives you a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of just really cool period-appropriate stuff in this book. And so I enjoyed two really cool supplements. I really need to actually pick up the Vampire Guide. That's another book by Questwise, who did some writing for Eric Bloat. But I really enjoyed reviewing these two items. And I think Eric's actually had. I think today is his game. Dark Places and Demogorgons is like the game of the day. And let me see. I don't want to say it's the wrong one. DriveThruRPG.com actually. I think for this day only, it's on sale. So go get it for cheap. All right, take it easy, kids.